I'm Karen Coelho, and I'm, I guess, from Chennai, which is where I've been working for the last 18 years. And in between, I was in New Zealand for a few years. But yeah, essentially, I'm from Chennai, from the Madras Institute of Development Studies. I'm basically an urban anthropologist. I mean, I worked in a development studies institute as faculty, but the bulk of what I do is anthropology of the city of Chennai mostly.
I'm Nityanand Jayaraman, Niti to my friends, and I'm from Chennai, Tamil Nadu in India. I started out as an engineer, turned journalist, turned social activist, and now the last avatar is as an academic.
So I was doing my PhD fieldwork in Chennai. I was actually doing my PhD in Arizona, in Tucson, Arizona, and came down to Chennai to do my fieldwork. That's where my family is also based. And one day, I had an interview with a journalist who wanted to interview me on my PhD topic, which was water sector reforms in Chennai. So water politics was quite a big thing at that time. And so there was this journalist that I had fixed an appointment to speak with. And it turned out to be this guy. And it sort of went from there. We never finished the interview, but we did get married. And at the time, he was not an academic. So so I returned to India after finishing my PhD and settled in Chennai. We had this, me an academic, he an activist life together for about 18 years till he then decided to go the academic way.
My life has been full of turns. So I started out as an engineer, moved on to journalism. And journalism, I started getting interested in every story I wrote and getting involved in the campaigns. So I turned into an activist as well. As I became an activist, it became more difficult to write news pieces because they wanted objective journalism, which I was not able to deliver. And I started writing op-eds. I was getting a bit burnt out with the activism because I'd been doing that for nearly 30 years. And decided that I would like to take a break and probably look at the books. And so PhD came along. I chose a place that was very unlike India. I went to University of Waikato in Aotearoa-New Zealand and did my PhD. It was a privilege and just a lot of time to read, to reflect on the 30 years of activism. And that's how I am an academic wannabe.
Mine's also not that straightforward a story in the sense that I worked for many years. I started off for many years working in an NGO in Chennai. I mean, before that, my bachelor's was in English literature, which I just did for the love of it. But then I was working in this NGO for several years and about 5 years later decided that I wanted to study a bit further. So I went to the Institute of Development Studies in Sussex, where I did an MPhil in development studies, where I was able to think about all of the work I'd done in this NGO for some years. And then I found myself, for various personal reasons, in Tucson, Arizona, working at the Bureau of Applied Research in Anthropology, and then signed up to do a PhD in anthropology. And while I was doing the PhD, as I mentioned before, I met this guy who was based in Chennai. And so I returned to Chennai, got a job there, and ended up studying the city of Chennai as an anthropologist for the next 18 years. I was part of, I think, an early generation of scholars that sort of built an urban studies epistemic community in India. So it was not, I think there wasn't really a strong network of the kind that I feel like has taken shape and flourished in the years that I was working there. So I feel like I've kind of gotten at the ground floor on that. and helped build it and shape it through many, many collaborative activities, like a lot of excellent workshops that I've either helped create or been part of, or in some way participated in, on informal labor, on urban participation and community consultation, out of which we brought a book called Participolis. But and numerous kinds of workshops. I remain part of that community. We're all quite solidly linked. We really enjoy doing things together, and I think it's a very significant community within the country, and I'm really proud of being a part of it.
What gave me great joy and meaning to my life as an activist is my involvement with setting up a voluntary collective which works with young people, and we've been around since 2002. And a large number of young people, when I say large number, I'm talking about 13 to 14 people a year, have passed through the collective, deep engagement on social issues, complicating their understanding of politics and society. And in the process, there have been 4 youth groups that have formed, coalesced, allowing these youngsters to develop relationships among themselves, but also with their peers, with their elders. And that has been magical in terms of a theory of social change, practicing non-hierarchical organization, as a collective, has been something that has been very, very meaningful for me. What do I like about Philly? I like the fact that it's unpretentious. I like where I live in West Philly and the convenience. The public transportation is fantastic. You have multimodal transportation. Shops are nearby, all kinds of shops. And there's a great international food store where I can get all kinds of South Indian ingredients. So what's not to like about Philly?
Similar stuff, because we talk about this all the time. I like the slightly scruffy character of it compared to, the really glossy cities. But yet it's full of life. And again, the so walkable public transport looks beautiful everywhere you are. It's just, it's gorgeous. So I love this city.